photo one. Today is Friday. It's currently snowing out, but I am gonna post this on Monday. So hopefully the weather's a little bit nicer on Monday than it was today. So today I'm gonna go over the final summative and the timeline for the summative. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I'm gonna go over the presentation here, but I also just wanted to go over the current calendar, okay? So if you haven't already done so, make sure that you've watched the photo essay presentation, which was me YouTubing myself and sharing you the kinds of pictures you need to take within the photo essay. Then identifying the kinds of shots, like another artist taking those pictures, and then identifying a quiz here. Then we had spring break. Then you guys had to upload your 8 photos as well as your sketches. Remember some people didn't upload their sketches and then you didn't get credit for 2.2, the research part of it. So you were just supposed to take a blank piece of paper and draw your sketches, take a picture of that and upload it. So just notice that you might have a blank grade there if you didn't do that. Then the next summative was Life Imitates Art. So that was finding a famous painting, uploading that painting, and then recreating that out of like objects at home. And then that was due. And then you guys reviewed people who actually turned the assignment in and reflected on the best and one that was the least successful out of those submissions. Then last week we had a lighting presentation, and that's like all the different kinds of lighting setups you could do in the studio. And then on Friday, today, you guys identified some portraits, and you told me what kind of lighting setup was used for each of the portraits. And now we're at the natural light presentation today. And so this Friday, your sketches for this project will be due. And then next week, you guys will be taking formative pictures. And just like before, your formatives could meet the summative objectives. But some of you, you'll see comments from me and you'll see a grade that you successfully did it or not. And then I'll post another assignment for those that didn't meet the first, batch of lighting. Sorry, there's like a little bug here. Visiting with us today, and then you'll get a second chance if you didn't meet the week before. And this will be the last project that will bring us to when summatives are supposed to be due for seniors. And seniors grades are due the 15th, and then everybody else you guys just have some extra time to work, and I'll post all these review things for you to review before mastery exams. So mastery exams will look like a Canvas quiz, and it will have questions related to each of the standards, identification, applying these things in like Photoshop and with the camera, pointing those things out, a little research, and then solving the problem and stuff like that. So the master exam will be that last week. So that kind of brings us through the rest of the year. So let me bring up the presentation again. Okay, so this is our final summative. So let me just go over the objective. So you guys are going to take 3 photos total that demonstrate these 3 types of lighting setups, and you're going to use the sun through a window as the light source. So the window is modifying the light. Anything that's hitting the side of your house has been blocked, flagged basically, and so it's going directly and hitting us. You could further modify this light with curtains, shears, objects around your house. Okay, so you're going to give me 3 lighting setups: split, or also called side lighting, Rembrandt lighting, and then backlighting. Okay, so just as a reminder, split side looks that half of the face, so that's kind of what's happening right here with me, is half of my face is in lightness and the other half is in darkness. I would actually close, I have another window here and I have another window here. I would actually close those and actually try to block some more light to give me a little bit more darkness on my other side. But just make sure that the split is clearly divided down the middle of your face. Okay, so you can see this is supposed to be the light source coming in. and we'll have the highlight on the side. Cool. All right, in this presentation, so I'm posting this presentation, I have 3 videos for you guys to watch. And this one, I really like this girl because she's like a college student and kind of a beginner photographer. And I really like some of the tips that she gives in this video working with window light. And you'll see her talking about each of these setups. Next, we have Rembrandt Lighting. And what that is that notice that the light source is not coming in at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, so it's coming more at this direction. It's actually towards the middle of the day, so the light is coming higher. And notice also that she had her subject kind of turn a little bit, and when you do that, you're going to be able to get more lighting that actually crosses that path, you know, the center of your face and comes over here. And so you're going to get this, what you're trying, your goal here is to, I can't get this right now because I don't have lighting above me. It's not that time of day. So it has to be coming in and then it would be hitting, you know, right here on my eye. So this triangular, and it's based off of, I don't know if you've ever seen the famous painting, Girl with a Pearl Earring. There's also like movies about him that a lot of his subjects have that. So the goal is that, you know, the light source is high, the subject's at a 45-degree angle from the window. So it's like split, but then you're also getting that upside down triangle underneath the subject's eye. There you go. This is a really great video. I like this guy. He talks a lot about Rembrandt and, you know, what he was doing. So this is a painting of him, and then it also has that style in it. So it's all about who he is, why does he even matter in the scheme of art, and what kind of pictures to take. He also kind of goes into finding your own style and, you know, finding, I just really, it's kind of motivating, honestly. So I would watch, you know, it is a longer one, but it's so worth it. So that's kind of why I gave you guys all of the week to review this presentation, but also watch these videos before you actually sketch your ideas for the project. Okay, next we have backlighting, and that means that you have the subject in front. So I'm here, and then we have the subject, and then the light source is behind my subject, which gives you a silhouette. And notice that kind of the beginning of the day or the end of the day when the light's spilling through is another great time, like it is for me right now, to do this versus the light being really high. Like noon, 1, 2, I would avoid that. So again, the subject is lit from the behind, and the idea is that you're getting a silhouette here. All right, another video here. This guy, you could tell, is an expert photographer, and he actually talks a lot about posing and just some tips for modifying the light. So again, another really good one to add in that mix of the 3 videos. We have a beginner, we have someone who kind of gets at the heart of photography and kind of trying to find your style, and then we have this expert photographer. So really great mix of videos that you should watch. Okay, so considerations before you do your sketches, before you approach the project. 1, choose a window light, window that the light is pouring into during that time of day, okay? So this window I'm actually out of is usually where my afternoon light comes in, and right now it's still morning, so I don't have a lot of strong light in here, okay? So that's something to consider, is you have to notice what time of day it is, and then, you know, the direction of light. And you might be in an apartment and you only have one direction. So then you do have to wait to a specific time of day to get the lighting that you want. So that's kind of something to consider, is what time of day it is and where does the light source come from to get a stronger or not as strong light, okay? Because that's, the source is the sun, the modifier is the window, and then the direction depends on the time of day. So we learn that. And then we also know that the temperature of the light is going to be cool most of the time, unless it's like very, very early when the sun is rising and going through the atmosphere, or really, really late right before when it's actually setting, and then we know it's going to be that orange, you know. So that's, again, another thing you can think about in terms of controlling the temperature of light that's in your photograph. And I just kind of reminded you about, remember that midday noon light is higher for Rembrandt lighting versus early morning, late afternoon, which would be have a direct light source for split and backlighting. So modifying the light. So we did a whole unit about doing this with flashlights in the room. We talked about direction. We talked about temperature. We talked about quality. And we also talked about proximity, quantity of light. So remember that you can use, say you want diffuse light and you want softer light. Maybe it is harsher during the day and you want to modify the light a little bit more. Maybe you have shears. Maybe you actually have a thin blanket or translucent article of clothing that you could have an assistant, or if you don't have an assistant, can you clip it somewhere or even tape it, on the window just for the photograph. If you have curtains, I should even say blinds, because blinds could even block the sun. If you have a thick blanket or an opaque article of clothing where, it's a thick piece of clothing that sun won't travel through, you could use that to flag or block unwanted light. And then look around your house. Maybe you're trying to get that Rembrandt light here and it's just not happening and you need to get some reflection. You need to have an object reflect light back into the subject somehow. Do you have a roll of foil? Do you have a big mirror? Do you have a flat baking sheet to reflect light onto your subject? So think about all the things that you have around your house. I like that we did this like DIY lighting in school already, and we used a bunch of just stuff in the classroom, right? Like we used milk bottles to diffuse light, and paper towel rolls and all that stuff. You could use those same kind of things around your house to modify your light. All right. So how will you make your photograph unique? Okay. Everybody else in class is just taking pictures of those kind of lights. And you could take that, a picture of any, of your parent, your guardian, your sibling, cousins, neighbor, if they live with you, roommates. How are you going to make yours unique? So things to consider is, do you have any props you can incorporate into the photograph? Could you have them hold or wear an accessory to make them a little bit more unique? Do you have paint? Maybe you want to paint the person, and I'm talking about like, maybe you want to paint the whole person gold or black or something like that. Maybe you want to emphasize, maybe you have them put on this like crazy beautiful dress and put on a lot of makeup for like a formal occasion and do their hair up and all that kind of stuff. What do you have at home? You are at home, so take advantage of that, like what you have at your disposal. Do you have a special outfit or costume, again, to make them more unique? So who are you going to photograph? Okay, ideally you would use a family member. This is supposed to be a portrait, so there should be a subject in the portrait. If you don't have anybody at home, when it's light time, then you can use yourself and just put your phone or your iPad on the timer and use the timer feature. If that's not options, which, unless you just can't fathom taking a picture of yourself, you should really just get over it and just do that as your second object. Do you have a family pet? If you can keep them still, and you could still get the lighting, can you get the dog to look at you straight away to get the split lighting and that kind of stuff? You maybe have a treat to make them, change their profile and stuff. And last but not least, do you have a doll? All right, because it's still supposed to be a portrait. We don't want to just use a random object, so that we can see the direction of light. So you can use the same, or you could even use different subjects for each one. You could have more than one subject, as long as, you're going to be uploading to Canvas and saying, put your split one here. Maybe one person has split, maybe two people have split. Maybe one person just shows it and the other one is just complementing the composition. So you can use the same subject for every single one. They can be using the same costume for everyone, or they could all be completely different. So that's totally up to you as well. Obviously, it's going to be more creative if you have 3 different subjects, 3 different costumes, 3 different ideas. That's going to show that could be an advanced opportunity to show advanced creativity, like a 4 for creativity, solving the problem, and your research and development and ideation. All right, so I also have some tips for you. Like I would not take my picture in this environment, even though I've, picked up laundry off the floor and stuff like that. There's still too much stuff around me. Okay, and I would probably, if I was taking my picture, I'd probably move this couch and I'd probably move the little table behind me, so that there wasn't anything around me. And even my like curtains are very busy. I'd probably not even want that, and that I might even like try to actually hold up fabric behind me so that is just one solid. So that's kind of hard, right? Is that you might have to actually move stuff or put, have somebody hold fabric or try to hold it up somehow, so that you don't have a lot of background clutter behind your subject, because that could really take away. So I'd probably do it in a different room without, if there is a room that doesn't have so much clutter. So think about that. Don't try to take pictures where there's a picture behind you, that there's objects and furniture behind you. We don't want that kind of information in the photograph. Take pictures at different angles. So above the subject, below the subject, eye level. Okay, so if they're sitting, you might have to kneel down, or maybe you want to get even lower and up, and try. I mean, like you're asking them to sit for you. Taking pictures is free. Try to get different angles and then actually review them and say, oh, I'm really glad that I took many angles and they look more flattering at this angle versus another one. Take pictures at different distances away from your subject. So try getting really close and try having the subject move away. And you are the one that's actually moving away from your subject matter to get different kind of cropping. Maybe you want to do midsection up. Maybe you want to do chin up. Maybe you want to do full. Especially if they're wearing like a really pretty long dress or something like that, or you want to include their shoes, because shoes say a lot about a person, right? Direct your subject to move their eyes in different directions. Ask them to look out the window. Ask them to look up. Ask them to look down. Ask them to to look to the floor. Ask them to look at their hands. Ask them to just do a bunch of stuff again, so that you have a lot of creative compositions to work from. Think about how you could use their hands to kind of create movement in the piece, especially if it's a close-up. What does hands say to you? What are they doing with their hands? What are they holding with their hands? It can be really beautiful when you get someone who's a little bit older and they have like wrinkles, and like it tells stuff about that person when you have that kind of information in a portrait versus a little kid's hands, and what are they holding and what are they doing and are they being silly and that kind of stuff. So think about expression and feelings. So also direct your subject to have different expressions, like when I work with kids and I'm taking their portraits, have, a list of jokes in your back pocket to tell these kids, so that you can get a natural laugh and a smile, and that they're relating to you versus being scared of you. Even though you're probably taking pictures of, siblings and stuff. So hopefully you have a good relationship with them. Maybe you want them to be more, have an expression that's more solemn, and you tell, you bring up a story that was kind of sad, or you bring up, memories or something like that, to kind of get a more natural expression from them. So please make sure that this isn't a snapshot where it's like, hey, what's up? Like that's not what we're doing here. We learned about that a long time ago, that we want a fine arts photograph, and we don't want kind of a kitschy, like, hey, what's up guys? Kind of a snapshot that you're just taking of someone. The posing should try to look natural, like you're catching them in a moment that's happening, versus you're actually having them pose for you. All right, so this week you're watching this presentation, and you're watching those 3 videos, and then you're sketching your ideas. You're taking a picture of your sketches. You could just do it on a white piece of paper. And then next week, you're going to do your formative photos with the 3 different setups, and your formatives might count as your summatives if they're really good. Otherwise, I'll leave you comments, and you'll see that you didn't get, a 3. And then I ask you to actually take another round of photos summatively to reach a 3. And then these are the 4 things that you guys are going to be graded on. So to get credit for 2.2, you need to sketch your ideas, And then at the end, when you're uploading your photos, I actually have some questions that say, tell me about your concept. 1.1, you guys are going to take you took the quiz identifying the light setups on Friday. 1.2 is you're taking the pictures, you're applying what you've learned. So you're taking photos using natural light source. As always, the photos should be focused, exposed correctly, and not grainy. And last but not least, you submit 3 photos using 3 different lighting setups with unique and creative ideas. Okay, so they shouldn't look like snapshots. It shouldn't look like you just kind of did it to get over with. It should look like you put the thought into it. Okay, last but not least, I just have some more student examples using natural light. So we talked about different positions your subject could be in, backlighting, backlighting, more backlighting, split. Okay, so those are my examples for you. Okay, so it was good talking to you. Next week, I'm gonna have a live time invitation where I'm just gonna send it out and just see how you guys are doing. I won't be teaching anything. It's more just Q&A, and if you just wanted to see everybody in class. So that's what you can expect for the next week. But that's really it that's gonna bring us home to the rest of the semester until we have mastery exams. All right, so it was good talking to you, and I hope you guys have a good week. All right, let me know if you have any questions, so you can always email me.